Hello and welcome to Epic Fantasy Reviews. I'm your host Joe, here with my co-host Dan,
Hello and greetings.
and today we review The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, or at least
The comic book as done by
Shotaro Ishinomori. Right from the start. Actually, the first page or two is pretty much a splash page, and I freaking love it. Like,
it's consistent with the game.
well, not entirely, but like what I love is that this is something that goes against the game. The river runs along through the village, whereas in the game it runs beside the village, which I know that's a minor detail, but I'm going to obsess about details like that because it's fantasy fiction. But what I also like is that you have German-style medieval houses. Because you look at the first splash page, that's clearly a German-style medieval house. And, like, we're off to a good start. But then page 2, or page 6 comes along, and you only see half the hero's face, typically, which I hate. I hate the hair that covers the eye because I'm busy going, okay, he's going to be constantly picking at his eyelashes and whatnot. And, like, okay, I know there have been characters who look cool with that hairstyle thing, but here I can't help but feel like it's in a deliberate attempt to make him look stupid. Because, well, in Link's case, it makes him look stupid. And that remember that detail because of how it seems like he's kind of looks stupid. Well, this is going to run for the entire comic.
It'd be one thing if it finished a little above his eye.
But they don't do that. It's clearly laziness. So they don't have to constantly draw both eyes. And I don't like that because, well, you know, why not make him look a bit more like what he does in some of the art for A Link to the Past, the game? Because the game's better, way better than this. Now, what I like, though, as far as writing details go for, like, page 6, is that Link's first reaction when Zelda reaches out to him telepathically is that he wonders, am I under a spell? Am I going crazy? I love that detail. He's basically going, am I going crazy here? Because, why am I hearing a voice? And he tries to find his uncle. It's just a natural reaction that I really do like.
Because you don't wake up and people speak to you in your head.
Now, once again, like, there's a detail in the lower left-hand side of the 6th page, and that's that. Yeah, I know. I got to stop getting excited about the German house here. But I like that there's a theme here. It's German style medieval world for this Hyrule. Now, in a lot of the games and whatnot, they never really touch on this. And, like, I understand there are times when Zelda feels more Celtic in some ways, but I actually kind of prefer it more Germanic.
It's different.
Yeah, now I don't mind the culture being more Celtic, but the houses and whatnot being more German. That's a nice little mix, but Zelda doesn't really do that, and I find that that's a detail I really like here, and it's something that adds to the world building. Now, the art for quite a few of the characters is consistent, but the art I typically find is really good, but the art for Link is terrible. He's the least well-drawn character in the entire comic book. Which is a problem because he's the main character. Except not really in this comic.
One thing I noticed is that, sure, there's a manga style, but I could see influences from a more European.
Yeah, I found it was more European in some ways, but the humor actually... Okay, I'm not saying manga humor drags down a story. Frequently, I find it elevates it when you don't have a good story. But here, the humor really drags it down and tears down the story of Zelda and Link here. Because, okay, so like for example, Link like is about to square off against Aghanim, and it's just he gets the telepathic message in his head, and then there seems to be an explosion behind him, and he just goes wide-eyed, and suddenly in the next page, Aghanim's disappeared. And I'm left going, okay, where did Aghanim go? Because I thought Aghanim and Link were in the same room. But it's not clear. Like, the mangaka or comic book writer/artist wanted to go for a joke here a little, just with how bright the golden... What is that thing behind Link? Like, I don't know. It just suddenly happens. It's like, okay, what's with this exploding background? Is there a nuke going off? Is this taking place during Hiroshima and Nagasaki? I shouldn't crack that joke, but I'm wondering, the heck is going on? And then there's this armor guy, the hollow armor soldier in front of him, and I'm left going, where did he come from? What's going on? Yeah, I know there's the word bubbles the speech bubbles that are telling us this is what's going on as the characters are talking. But the thing with comic books is the dialogue is crucial, and so is the imagery. And you can't skip details here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like taking a look at it. It's
jarring.
He's squaring off against Aghanim.
Then some other guy.
Wait.
No, like, he was in front of Aghanim. Then suddenly he's in a different scene. And where did these flunkies come from?
From what I understand here is that they're in different rooms to begin with.
No, but they were in the same room originally.
It's
because Aghanim was squaring off against the uncle. He just fought and killed the uncle, and Link. Then he's over here. Like, maybe it's an astral projection, but still, where is Link? Like, it's a bit of like, I'm just wondering where Link is. Like, is he like he left the uncle, or is he still by the corpse? Like, you should not be this confused. Just looking at the speech bubbles and the images, you shouldn't be confused here. Now, I just like in a game, the guards are under mind control, and in the comic book, they're hollow suits of armor. Like, yeah, it doesn't make much sense.
And one thing I just noticed is that Link and many other characters are drawn more Euro style, whereas Zelda...
No, she's drawn Euro style.
It's just the eye...
Are pure
okay.
Euro style.
Pardon me.
But the problem is, like, Link is just... Here's the problem here, early here. Okay, in the games, Zelda is a passenger. She's not an active force, typically. I know there's going to be some people who are going to go, yeah, but there's Ocarina of Time. Yeah, but she still gets captured by Ganon when she shouldn't. Ganon should have no power in the Temple of Time, and yet he captures her like that. And that's always the freaking case. And after that point in Ocarina of Time, she just goes, Link, save me! Oh no! Sword landed next to me. Link, you gotta hurry over here and then run back again. No, woman, toss him his sword. Like, do what Andrea did for Matrix.
Nearly take Link's head?
And Ganon's. Remember, Andrea nearly took off Megabyte's head too. Oh, frick. I'm missing Andrea as a female lead because Reboot had much better writing than this. But anyway,
it's sci-fi, so we cannot review it.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is here, Zelda's take charge here. Link's just along for the trip, not doing anything. And here's the during the rescue part, after the first two guards are dispatched. Now, I don't mind her taking charge, but have Link do something. It just feels like he's just following.
Link's all Kenshin Himura from Rurouni Kenshin, not Samurai X.
Yeah, it's just, okay, tell me what I need to think and do.
And he clowns his way out of a lot of trouble.
Which you just summed up 100% of this comic book.
And Zelda, which is a lot more serious, I'm trying to think of a character to compare her to.
But the problem is evident. Like, but that said,
It's like Sailor Mars trying to lead Kenshin Imura.
Sailor Moon,
Sailor Mars from
Sailor Mars. Oh yeah, yeah.
Would that,
Sailor Mars was a great character though.
Would that be an apt comparison?
Sort of, except Sailor rocks.
I know.
And Zelda. Well, actually, Zelda's occasionally pretty well written in here, but occasionally, and that's the best we can say about most characters in here. Now, the Aghanim suddenly appearing in the temple, I don't like because for one thing, Link's reduced to a freaking joke as Zelda's captured. Of course, she's captured, but the thing is, why not follow the actual story of the game? Now, what I don't mind, though, is the temple actually having a build that reminds me of the Cathédrale de Notre-Dame de Paris. I don't mind that.
The building design is really good.
But it looks like it's empty around it. Shouldn't there be a village or something near it?
And
where's the cemetery? Because the cemetery is right next to this temple.
The large panel on page 19 is jarring because you've got Link in bright colors during the night, and you've got the building dark.
But it looks like the building is about to get hit by electricity.
I know.
Or at least lightning.
There could have been proper shading applied.
Yeah. That would require the art to be, the character art to be better. I don't care for the wanted poster, because this part of the world building. Wanted for kidnapping. Large reward. The king. What does large reward entail? Is it like a rupee? Is it like a red rupee? Is it like 200 rupees? It's not clear. And yeah. Now, Link is, after this on page 24, told the story of and 25, told the story of the Master Sword. And he also walks past his first Zora, who will play a heroic role, which I don't mind the Zora being... Oh, no, my mistake. I got him confused with a different character. He's a spy for Ganon. And, like, this part of the story, the world building is... Well, I like that it's at the mill that Link meets the mayor's wife. But here's the thing. As much as I love the background art, I do love it. And I love that the Master Sword is nailed. The problem is...
Because on page 25... beautiful drawing of the Master Sword.
It shines, it glows, it cuts through macaroni and cheese.
You could tell that it's splendor.
Yeah, that it's basically a royal sword. It's beautiful. It's joyeuse.
And the shading there is actually,
it's great. But the thing is, hey, I'm an artist who can't do shading, but I admire the art. It's its own art form. And... I wish I was able to figure it out. There's probably courses for that, and I probably should take them. But, oh man, like, the pyramid I love. Like, look at the Birdman.
It's detailing.
It's great, but here's the thing. It's not accurate to what that level is like in the game. And here's another beef I have with the world building. Where's the Great Fairy? She plays an integral mentor-like position in the game, but I don't think she's in this comic book. And, no, she isn't. And why would you exclude her? She's one of Link's great mentors. Like, I know she frequently appears nude, but in most games. But in A Link to the Past, she's fully clothed. And I really like her. Like,
Besides, but they could have... It's like, she often shows skin. Why not dress her up like Poison Ivy?
Huh. Well, in the A Link to the Past, she's dressed in a which seems to be like a almost monastic white robe.
Okay.
That covers her from the neck to the ankles. But her hair is free flowing and looks very pretty and golden. Like, hey, I'm just saying, I love that Zelda art from the SNES era. And like I said. Link, throughout this story, does demonstrate quite a bit of heroism. There's references, interestingly, to Icarus, the Greek myth. But the thing about Zelda, the Legend of Zelda, is that, like, in the desert, there's a good job shown of Link actually killing a monster and doing it in a heroic way. So this author can do it. He just chose not to most of the time.
Oh, look, shading.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, Link's adventure should be heroic. It should inspire, like, a fire in your gut. And I find that, okay, for tone, it should be rather like the 1986 Transformers movie. Mm-hmm. In that the minute he gains, like he's struggling all throughout, then at the end he gains, the advantage. And, you have that scene like Arise, Rodimus Prime. And, Rodimus Prime proceeds to kick tail and win the entire war on Unicron. That's the feeling we should get from Link. But all I get throughout this comic is of a schmuck playing at pretend. He does not feel like the hero of a legend. He just feels like a boob who's team rocketing his way through everything. And it's like, oh, that's all it took to defeat the enemy and the forces of Ganon? Is just one class clown? Oh, well, in that case, why didn't we hire Abbott and Costello to do this? Or the Keystone Cops? This thing would have been dealt with faster that way. But what I do like is around page 58, starting there, Link starts to get cursed because of the Dark World, wherein his negative feelings against Aghanim, which, here's a problem with this scene. Now, his negative feelings against Aghanim and his desire for revenge for the murder of his uncle pushes him to start turning into a beast. Because if you give in to your less than noble instincts and desires in Dark World, you start to turn into a beast, like Ganon did, into a pig. And, Rome, a later character in this comic, turns into a falcon or an eagle. And Link seems to get a bear or wolf-like hand. And, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And this idea would kind of later be reused in Twilight Princess, where in the Dark World, or Twilight Zone, or whatever, Twilight Realm, he's turned into a wolf. And I like that. But I like that they reuse this idea. But the problem here is, what he's thinking about is his mother. And he looks grief-stricken. But, oh no, don't do that. Don't do that. Says Saha Srala. It's like, okay,
that guy.
But like the dude in the robe.
The dude in the robe with the overcomplicated name.
Saha Srala. Macaroni. Ends up telling him, the emotions known in your heart are negative and evil. So, going, I love my mommy is negative and evil? Okay, whatever. But then Link suddenly twists around and goes, but Saha Srala, Aghanim killed my uncle, and now he's holding Zelda. Okay, there was a way to make this consistent, but the author clearly didn't. Now, the next thing that he fights is the freaking spider, because of course it is. He cures himself somehow with the one pendant or jewel, but where the scene in the game is one of glory and just magnificence with the Master Sword, I find that in the comic it's like, oh yeah, that's a thing. See, he grabbed it. There, Master Sword. Time for a fight. And
why not give us a big transformation scene where he shouts how he has the power?
Yeah, instead his eyes just look like stars, and he looks crazy. Pulls the sword out, and it's not really a glorious scene. It's actually an embarrassing, cringy scene. That actually, I find the art...
It blends in with everything else.
And the art for the Master Sword on page 68 is terrible. Oh my gosh. There should have been the scene of the animals running around and the darkness of the woods, Link reaching over, pulling the sword free from the pedestal and holding it over his head. Suddenly there's that's the most iconic scene in Zelda history. And here it's just, he got himself the Master Sword. Now go get me a keg of beer, and that's how it feels. It's like, it's just something you do.
The colorist doesn't help.
Well, the colors are usually good in this comic, but yeah, here page 68, 69, like, Link looks nuts, looks terribly drawn. Like, where are his knees? Where are his knees?
And looking at the sword here and the sword that he holds...
Oh, on 66 and 67? They're two different swords.
It's like night and day.
Yeah, because on 66, it's glorious and looks like it has an eyeball.
It's like rather metallic.
And here's the thing. I like how on 66, it looks like it's looking at him. But then, yeah, forget about that. That doesn't go anywhere. And but then we end up skipping forward back to the village of Kakariko Town, which I just realized it's Kakariko Town, which, okay, I got nothing to say about that. It's fine. But I like how all the villagers are banding together to work with Link and make him a hot air balloon, which I don't like the idea of the hot air balloon because it's supposed to be medieval, but whatever. If I paused and obsessed about everything I don't like, I'd never get through this thing. But I've got to rest for tonight. This won't be easy from Link, as they're all doing all the work, and then the kid ends up asking Link, "Give us a hand, will you?" And Link's lazy. Finally, we get some personality in the main character. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
excuse
me.
He did have a bit of a personality before, but there could have been more work done to showcase it more. And I still don't understand why he needs a hot air balloon. Like, why? It's not necessary. And, of course, he seems to win the fight against Aghanim almost by... Yeah, it's by pure dumb luck as a rock falls on it. Aghanim's head, knocking his HP down enough for Link to actually claim victory. I'm reminded of Batman Beyond, where Terry McGinnis is always knocked out, then his enemies trips over like a banana peel, cracks his skull open, and bleeds to death, and then Terry picks himself up and goes, yeah, that was a great victory on my part. Yeah, sure, bucko. Except you didn't do anything. Bruce Wayne is solving all the mysteries, and you're just knocking yourself out when you have the most powerful suit in the world. And then just saying, "Oh, I won," when your enemy is too stupid to claim victory.
Didn't we see something like that recently? Where the big threat was supposed to be there. Something happened and...
Mio in the faraway land.
Maybe. I don't know. It's like I don't care for those anticlimactic moments of random thing falls on the head.
Oh, yeah. I think that's also happened in a few Marvel movies. I don't know. They all blur together.
Yeah.
Except for Iron Man.
It's not a way to defeat the big bad unless the hero plans it.
Now, yeah. And the thing is, I like how there's a Deku tree in the Dark World, but in that he tells the story of Ganon. I like that Ganon's looks fatter than what he does in and is gray-haired than in the Ocarina of Time game. Now, the implication I get here is Ganon was already an older male when he took the Triforce, which I actually prefer that, that he was in his 40s or 50s, as it means he spent more time planning and preparing to take the Triforce. It took him longer than just being in his older teens or 20s or something. And I find that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know why the Cyclops Eye of Dark World have grenades. I mean, there's dark powder in Dark World. Well, actually, black powder being in Dark World. Kind of makes more sense once I word it that way. But I didn't like it when I first viewed it. But then, the minute I saw Link catch the grenade and chuck it back into the Cyclops' mouth, I loved this scene.
Kablooey.
Yeah, and I never knew I needed this in my life. Seeing a Cyclops' head blow up. I never knew I needed that. And I love how Link had no idea what it was for. Just
chucks it. How big the explosion was. Because
and I like how this is how the fairy first falls in love with him. Because, she's just like, That's the funniest thing I ever saw. Now, fairies and pixies in traditional Celtic, well, primarily Irish and Scottish mythology were very, very big troublemakers and tricksters. And the thing is, fairies in Zelda, in contrast, are actually helpful spirits. But here, this is a blending of the Irish in Zelda, and I find that this writer sometimes works well in this regard in blending uh, like traditional mythical stuff and fantasy with new Zelda stuff, which, well, it was new then, but, and this ability to kind of fit it like a Rubik's Cube is nothing but a strength for most fantasy writers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other hand, I don't like how the one Zora kind of, well, actually, let me retract the statement I was about to make. Link manages to kind of scar the Zora across the face, and the thing is, I was about to say I don't like that, and that shouldn't have cut his head in half. But then I remembered he's one of the heroic characters, so here, like the sword of evil's bane being unable to kill those who are good, but only scarring someone who has a bit of bad in them, is the kind of thing that you found in King Arthur myths. This and Zelda is inspired to a large extent by Arthurian myths, along with Shigeru Miyamoto running around outside and playing in the woods and playing pretend. Now, the Zora in the game, I know I keep comparing it to the game, but it's just the game is the inspiration for the comic book. And in the game, there are evil and good Zoras, which is kind of how it should be. And they have much more monstrous appearances than, well, in Ocarina of Time and whatnot. Which, I'll be honest, I actually like the look of them far more in like later, more recent games. Like, heck, Breath of the Wild, they look cooler. They look way better in Breath of the Wild than in this. But I do like this appearance. And I wish there was we could see both. And just say that they're just distant cousins or something of each other, like a different ethnicity. But the thing is, this Zora just... there's the name of the fairy. Effie Remelda. And he gives a mask to Link so Link could pretend to be one of Ganon's forces, or an evil Zora. And what's interesting about that is, once again, we see an earlier adaptation of Zelda, and later in Majora's Mask, the idea of using a mask and changing your appearance or disguising yourself with it would come back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's, like, the comic book clearly inspired some ideas in later games, which, I'll say this, the games did these ideas way better. Not to say the games are perfect, but the games took some of the ideas and cues in here and use them far better. And, like, what I don't like is the fairy suicide bombing the temple, but she still survives. And it's like, gosh, I didn't know you cared. I'm all right, but my heart is beating so fast. Yeah, okay, but shouldn't she have blown up too? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Or did she shield herself with magic? Or are they borrowing the idea that as long as you believe in the fairy, you'll never die? Like, it's not clear.
Mm-hmm.
And how come Link only saves, like, maybe 2 of the old sage's descendants? Shouldn't he save all 6 of them? Yeah. Now we get to, honestly, one of my favorite details of the comic book, Rome. Now, you and I have both complained time and again that Zelda needs maybe another male character for Link to bounce off of. Like a best mate character. Someone who could be either a rival or a best friend. Cypher to his squall, or... Because it just feels like a harem manga. Where, we can't have other males, except males who are no threat to Link's position within it, with his harem. But Rome shows up, and here's the thing. As much as he's portrayed as in a negative light in comparison to Link, he helps push forward Link's heroism and goodness. You know what I mean? Link is all the better for this male character. And at the same time, he's an interesting character in his own right. Rome, which is spelt with Roam, is also a descendant of the Hylian Knights. the Knights of Hyrule. But the thing is, where Link tries to tap into his greater good, like tries to fight like a Jedi, because the light side of the Force in Star Wars is stronger, but because it requires more thinking and whatnot, and letting go of your selfishness. Rome fights almost like he's trying to flirt with the darkness. He is flirting with it a little, because he taps some of his darker side and turns into a falcon when he attacks Link. And he's truly shaken up by the Master Sword. And Link is the one who proposes to team up. And Rome just rejects it. And Rome pops back up later when it comes to after the Water Temple, of course, which Link wins for dumb luck. Because, of course. But Rome comes to his rescue. And here's where I'm going to say this. There's going to be a Western fantasy franchise, I think, that pulls its inspiration from this scene of Zelda, the 10th Kingdom, because you have the witch in the swamp, which is a very iconic horror-esque image in 10th Kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
The wicked stepmother. But no, this witch is basically accidentally beaten, and Link loses to her, and the Zora comes to his rescue. It's just
convenient.
Like, Link does not actually win against anyone. No, the world building with the witch in the swamp could have been a great encounter, but it's not. It's just physically painful to read. The dragon, the three-headed dragon, oh my gosh, there was so much cool here that could have been done. But then the firehead just spontaneously combusts for some odd reason. It's not explained. Like, I think Rome hit it with an arrow, and a light arrow, but oh no, it's the blackhead, not the firehead. I thought it was the firehead, but it's like, okay, so Rome defeats it. I think, I don't know, it just spontaneously combusts. How come Link doesn't defeat it? As much as I want Rome here, and I like the idea of him destroying one of the heads, but have Link destroy the other two. And don't skip the entire dragon fight. You have two Knights of Hyrule. You have two heroes. Have them struggle. Have them work out how to defeat this thing. Use their cunning. Use their bronze. Use their magic. No, it's just we got to skip this because we only have 195 pages. Why? And here's where, Now, Zelda, of course, only thinks about, bam, chicka, bow, wow, as we put it, all fans from Whose Line Is It Anyways would put it, things like a cheap 70s porno going, oh, my heroes come for me. But what I like is Ephramelda goes, hey, mind on the job. No, she gets angry. Rome goes, there's no time for romance. They got to save themselves because, if Link and Zelda had it their way, they'd be dead. But what I don't like is how there's only one light arrow. It's just... So, whoever made it only made one? No, I thought it was the Triforce of Wisdom that blessed it. And gives... or in the Triforce of Power, maybe. But no. That's the problem here. As much as... Rome dies against Aghanim, which is kind of anticlimactic. I kind of wanted him to live. And, of course, you get a fight with Ganon, which, Link does not win. Link loses this fight. Yeah, you heard me. He loses the fight, and Zelda defeats Ganon, which, I'm not opposed to stories like that.
But if you're going to have
Zelda... If you're going to do this, do it better, like Kikon Yubiwa Monogatari or Superior do it, wherein the female character... The male character gets to be cool and defeat large evil threats, and so do the female characters. And the female characters defeat the final evil, but there's build up to it.
If they wanted Zelda to take down Ganon, they should have made the story about Zelda.
Well, that's the thing. They didn't want that. This guy did. So, that's my problem. Shigeru Miyamoto and the rest of Nintendo always intend for Link to get the final strike, which I'm actually supportive of. But this one guy said, no.
He wants to write in a more Euro style at the time, but he's more accustomed to writing in the Japanese way, and
it's not even in a good Japanese way. It just comes off like a really, really, really bad. What was that writer, the creator of Inuyasha and Ranma?
Rumiko Takahashi.
Yeah, like her. She's terrible. It's
and
it just comes off like that.
And it's not a good balance between the two writing styles.
Yeah, I know.
There are ways to pull the styles together.
Yeah.
But this way...
Heck, once again, superior. It's a Korean comic book which blends Western and Eastern fantasy fiction perfectly together. It is the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest dark fantasy story of all times.
Osamu Tezuka made a career out of this, adapting classical European stories
into Japanese style
anime format, and you can still tell there's the European influence in there.
From Walt Disney. Now, the scene with Ganon's bloody corpse, I actually like, oddly. For some reason, I like this thing. Like, I'm just bloodthirsty. Like, it's just so juxtaposed. And why is it all dark? I don't get it in that scene. Oh, well. But the thing is, like, oh, you forgot to draw her crown. Like, it looks like there's some golden bee or something going out of her forehead.
What? Are we dealing with Crest of the Stars now?
I guess. I don't know. Wait. There's nothing golden growing out of the...
There's the head.
No, but in Crest of the Stars, it's a crown they wear.
But
anyways, the Triforce comes along and Link... Okay, I'll compare it to a video game. Video game. Link takes the Triforce and says, okay, I wish all those that Ganon killed and Aghanim killed were brought back from the dead to live happily ever after. That's a great ending.
Yeah.
Link here goes, I don't know, he doesn't wish for anything. He's like, I wish to go back to Hyrule? Screw it. I don't care. I don't care about the dead. Screw them. And it's just like, oh, so Link said, screw them. I want to be Captain of the Knights. And he is until he isn't. Because at the end of the comic, he has the entirety of the Triforce. Oh, no, wait. He still has a Triforce. So he didn't actually use all his power to make a great wish. He's just holding on to it, I guess, because it's, oh, well, maybe I'll wish for the internet so I could, I don't know, read a better comic book. And maybe I'll read Superior. But here's the thing. The closing art in on page 194 is fantastic. What? Yes. But except for the covering of the eye. I hate that. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, it is gorgeous. It's voluptuous, beautiful, colored art. And it's wasted.
Mm-hmm.
And the moss-covered sword thing is, I still find it kind of dumb. Why is it moss-covered? I thought it's the Master Sword. It never ages. Sorry, I know I'm shouting, but it's so frustrating. And apparently, Shotaro Ishinomori was one of the most famous... Oh! He is one of the biggest comic book creators over there. Cyborg 009, Masked Rider, and Hotel. Oh, he made Hotel.
I don't know.
And he created more than 770 stories in about 500 volumes. I wonder if he was just pumping them out just in a rush. Like,
I've never heard of Hotel.
Yeah, I've heard of it. But I'm not going to comment about it. Neither positively nor negatively. I've only read a little bit, and that was like 20 years ago. So I don't really remember. Now I remember stuff from like 28 years ago, but I don't remember this from 20 years ago. Go figure.
Okay.
But yeah, like the art, the background art is always almost perfect here. Like, it's gorgeous. The monsters look great. I love the monster art here. I love the more laid back art style for a lot of the monsters, even some of the side characters. What I don't like is Link's art. I know I keep reiterating that, but I don't know where his knees are. I don't know. if he's got another eye half the time. And
And
man.
I
And
find
in some scenes he's a great swordsman. He's a master swordsman. In others, he's just a clumsy boob.
yeah, and
It's so inconsistent.
there are times where the way he's colored and not shaded,
It ruins the scene.
it ruins the scene.
It gives you a headache, right?
Yeah, it's like it doesn't belong. I mean, darken the colors a little, and there's a way to make it bright. There's an aspect of it that reminds me of Beauty and the Beast. How Belle is the only character in the entire movie that wears blue.
Yep.
There's an aspect of that they were going for.
Kind of in the Zelda game, yeah. Link's one of the only ones wearing green typically. But in here, yes, you got to bear in mind, like, it's only like you keep thinking of like the game there because that's a group project. But Shotaro Ishinomori is like the only guy doing this here, and I think there's more than one person wearing green. Let me try to like he's not clued into that key detail of the games, I think. Now, if we're wrong and in the games there's more than one person wearing green, okay, we flubbed up. But the thing is, in the manga or in the comic, let me see. Link, yeah, I think he might be the only one who wears green. Yeah. Shotaro, he ended up only coloring Link green for the most part. Oh, no.
Okay.
There are various shades of green brought in.
Okay,
So
I'm mistaken.
In the comic, you are, but in the game, Link is frequently in some games the only character who wears green, and that's to separate him from the other characters because he's the boy in green. He's the special.
I guess in here,
because green is the color of eternity, and Link. Here's the thing: he's the eternal hero, so green suits him.
I guess it's because Link, the way he's colored doesn't fit with many of the other characters.
What I like is that Rome, though, for example, wears silver and red, in marked contrast to the green and orange of Link. And now I do feel that Link should be wearing a bit of armor too, but Rome, like. What I like about the red look is that it seems like a counterpoint where, he's so passionate and hot-headed. And yeah, Link can be a hothead in here, which I like, but Rome is even more of a hothead, which highlights that it's not that he's a bad imitator, it's that he wants to be the hero of time, but he's not. And Link truly is. Now, I would like them to revisit the character of Rome and maybe bring him back in a future game or something as a support character for Link. And maybe even, like, your sidekick. You know what I mean? Where, he's the macho man between him and Link. But the thing is, that can be used to highlight Link's goodness. And both characters can be cool. Because Rome is cool.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. The author, he wanted to sometimes portray Link as cool, but most times not. And Rome comes off more cool. Like, way cooler than Link. In a few scenes.
I like the Europhile style of art.
Oh, for the background art, but the character art is mixed.
Yeah, it's like, I don't mind the more European approach to comics. However, the way he tried to bridge them...
sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It was clumsy.
It was clumsy.
And cluttered. That's the word I was looking for. It was cluttered.
Yes.
It's a cluttered comic book, and I'm just left going, wait.
Inconsistent coloring.
Yeah.
It's like...
he's not clued into how great this... Like, you look at the scene where Link's pulled out the sword, it looks like he's going to trip and fall over. When it should be... Like, he should have his two legs planted into the ground. Like, you know who did the pulling of the sword from the stone perfectly? Ironically, Quest for Camelot and even the Merlin 1998 movie where Arthur pulls the sword out, and in both versions, I think it's cried out, he's got the sword! And, it's this great, freaking cool, magical moment. Link is just, that happened. Now to go get a keg of beer and it moves too quickly from the pulling of the sword to the next thing.
It needs to be
Padded.
Yeah, it needs beefing up in order to put together all the details. There's too much missing. You're doing a visual comic.
Like you gotta be more willing to utilize the visuals more impressively to awe people, because you should be awing people.
You can't go story of the week in a story like this.
Well, that's what this was. I think it was released in Nintendo Power and whatnot, but still, the thing is, yeah, you even if it's story of the week, there are some parts you need to emphasize, and so the visuals here, I find are a mixed bag.
Yeah,
The world building is a mixed bag, because you got some great things, like the castle looks great, but then you got like the wanted poster in the same page, which is like for kidnapping. Who did he kidnap? Large reward. The king. Did he kidnap the king, or is the king the reward? Like, I'm just left looking at this and going, is the king the reward? Is he fat and he's like, you get to spend one night with the king?
Maybe there was something lost in translation.
Probably. Still, I can't help but wonder if, like, one night with the king, you're on, he's on top. Or are you just going to cuddle the king? Like, okay, so you're not catfishing the king. You're just snuggled up next to him, and it's just, you got the king. Yeah, this is awkward.
Let's get to the rating.
Is the king hoping that it's a woman who takes out Link? Like,
off the king.
Well, tell that to everyone going after Link.
Leave the fangirls alone.
Because I wonder what the king looks like.
I don't want to know what the king looks like.
Because I think is it Zelda's dad, or is it her younger brother or something?
I think...
Because, like, isn't the king dead or something? Let me check the last page. Oh, yeah, he's dead. She's the queen. Yeah, she's the queen. So, and why is she crowning Link? Is he now the king? Then how come she... Don't give... Or is it... Oh, okay, I think it's his warrior helmet. So basically, when you're knighted in Hyrule, you're given a helmet, your helm, your casque. That's the French term for war helmet. War helm. So, okay, never mind. I was being stupid there for a minute. Okay, well, like I said, the visuals are great, except when they're not. Like the flower field, I love, but the scene, like, there's nothing to the scene. It's only for one panel.
The strengths are the backgrounds, but the story is all over
the place. The writing,
monsters are well drawn.
The characterization. Okay, let's move character to character. Rome, I like. His character writing, he's meant to kind of show, like, okay, yeah, he's another badass dude, but Link is better. And he does a good job showing Link is better, for the most part. Except when he doesn't. When he takes down Aghanim. I wish Rome didn't die. And Link is... Oh, he's a mixed bag. Zelda goes from, oh, I could kill every Dark Lord on my own, but maybe I want to be rescued. Like, okay, if we want that Zelda, we're just going to watch Four Swords Misadventures. It's better writing anyways. But the thing is, Zelda, like, in the last pages, like Link, is perfectly written. She mourns the fact that they can never be together because she's into him. And I'll be honest. Okay, I'm about to commit Zelda sacrilege. I never liked this pairing. I never liked Zelda and Link being together. It just struck me as just typical. Like, if I just never understood the need for the pairing. It just feels unnecessary. And I'll be honest, I'm always bored by the idea. So basically, just because a lot of fans like her, Link has to end up with her. It's like, okay, but what about the whole world building, the cast difference, and whatnot? Like, I never liked the pairing. Also, because I always found there's no chemistry between the characters when I do see Link in a manga or a comic book. There's no chemistry. And Zelda is just such a damsel that I just always hate her. It's not like Mario and Peach. I like that pairing only because you get a sense of Mario's personality. He's a bit of a goofball. But Princess Peach is hilarious, and she can take charge. Like there are stories where she's captured and she just busts her own way out. She's locked. She's basically locked up in her room in Legend of the Seven Stars. And what does she do? She takes her umbrella and it comes floating on down to Link in a nod to an earlier Mario game where she could float. And at the same time, she basically tells Mario, "Oh, I'm coming along on the adventure." You have Mario. "No, you can't. It's too dangerous." And you have Peach. "I don't care. I'm coming along." And you have Peach. What is she? I think she says something like, "This is the most excitement I've had in a while. Man, going on adventures with you, Mario, it's the most excitement I get. It's the only time we can spend it together. So, yeah, I'm coming."
The main reason in that game why she was practically bawling her eyes out when it came to Booster was the fact that Booster wanted to force her to marry him, and Booster wasn't exactly considerate of her needs, despite her being constantly kidnapped by a giant turtle.
Yeah, she cries. Then you know what she then proceeds to do for the rest of the game? Kick everyone's rear. And but, like, I don't mind her crying because, look at it this way. Mallow, Mario, they cry. Bowser cries in that game. Everybody cries. So it's like, okay. The only one who doesn't is Geno because he's awesome and he's the best character in the game. But we're going to leave Geno aside. But Mallow cries a lot more. And guess what? Like, Zelda proceeds to become one of the coolest characters in the game. So does Bowser. I just find it funny that Bowser cries like a baby in that game. But this is not a Mario review. Damn, that game is so much better than this comic book. But, oh, there's something I'd like to see. A Zelda RPG game. No, a turn-based Zelda game. That'd be cool. Mm-hmm. Anyways, we've gotten a Hyrule Warriors game, so that's good enough for me. I guess. But, yeah, like the last page of Zelda is a great one. I like how she's wearing white and she's almost dressed like a nun. I know she's queen, but it's almost like the separation really feels much more heightened thanks to that. That's a good aesthetic choice on this creator's part, but he fumbles up every freaking cool moment with Link. Because here's the thing. Link is on the boy's own journey, you know what I mean? On the medieval boy's quest. And he doesn't achieve it. It doesn't feel like a victory. Zelda does not feel like Zelda. Okay, her arc is a really good one, but there could have been more moments given to Link. And I do like that she's actually dressed in the white and purple that's later adopted in the franchise for her. I love that outfit for her. I've always liked that look. Even like it's why I hate the Breath of the Wild look that she has. Well, she wears pants. Yeah, but she doesn't dress like what she's supposed to.
She's not a princess.
And that's what I hate. Her name is
Zelda.
Princess Zelda. And why give her this great outfit if you're not going to dress her up in it? Now, I don't mind her wearing pants, but here's the thing. Well, okay, I'll admit, I actually like Shike's look. Shike looks great, even if that outfit achieves nothing for Zelda except getting her kidnapped. But at least she looks cool. And yeah, okay, at the end of the day, why are you obsessing about how they look? I'm picking at straws here. Like, if the character can't achieve anything, I want them to at least look neat. But at least, at least throughout Zelda, like Ephemeralda, whatever, the fairy, even Navy gets stuff done. Link gets stuff done. Rudo, like, you know what? Like, Link's the only male character who gets things done. But the female characters frequently get a lot of things done. Like, you got a soft spot for Saria.
Yeah.
I got one for kind of Rudo just because I find her funny. I like the Amazons of Zelda. The Gerudos. I love the Gerudos. I love how Breath of the Wild turned them into a semi-Egyptian style kingdom and into the wealthiest kingdom in there. That is so cool. They finally gave them a bit more of a culture. And I never understood why even after Ganon left, they were still, in some depictions, worshipping him. But in Breath of the Wild, they said, screw it. And they built a queendom. And that feels really, like something that was really great that was achieved. But like now, on the other hand, Zelda seems like it's a mixed bag, and we're basically I'm going back in circles here. Now, I love the Zelda mythos. I think we both do, but this comic is such a mixed bag. I don't know what to think of it.
How would you rate it?
1 star.
I would rate it 1 star as well. There are some good moments. There are aspects of the art that is very beautifully done. However, there are the way Link is treated is the part that really brings it down.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be. There are times where Link looks really good. But there are other times, most of the time,
He's a schmuck.
he's a schmuck.
What I'd like to see is like this German-style houses that look nice and used and shadowed. In some of the character art, some. Can you imagine if they made a story with the Gerudos, the Shaikas, the Zoras, and whatnot, and just use some of this background art, like or a similar style to it, and some of the lore, like the witch in the swamp witch and whatnot, the 3-headed dragon. Like, can you imagine these details and Rome coming back for like just a Zelda comic book run and just building up the world? Heck, okay, this might be weird, but maybe one day I'd like to see a Zelda, like a Hyrule Civil War, like, you know, in the Civil Wars before Ocarina of Time, and just have a comic book run without Link. Now, hear me out. I know that's sacrilege for Zelda fans, but no Zelda, no Link here, just in the age past. And just build up to Link's arrival. And have one of those Civil Wars of Hyrule. But you use it to build up the world and show why Link is so needed and why he is such a great force in Hyrule. And have Rome maybe appear as his right-hand man or his best buddy. Or like Rome is his rival and you have another guy act like his squire or something. And best mate and right-hand man who's the same age as him. And like the 3 of them have to rescue Hyrule. Maybe they team up with a Gerudo. And you have a bit of a fellowship formed. Like a real fellowship. Because Breath of the Wild did not do that right. And you have a proper fellowship built up. And like in the Hyrule you build up in the comic books. Nintendo! I basically just built up an entire story for you. In 5 freaking minutes. But this comic book, yeah. Like, I can't really recommend it unless you're a collector or something. In all seriousness, play the game instead. The game's so much better and feels more epic. Like, the game is so much better. So much better. But anyways, sorry for going on that last minute tangent. So, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Oh, and take the Master Sword and slice through that notification bell and that red subscribe button.